chapter, we will understand what is OAuth. OAuth is a mechanism of authentication and authorization using third-party services. It is called federated authentication and delegated authorization. To understand this definition and to understand why it is called federated authentication and delegated authorization, let's take an example. So I'm opening a website, gadgets.ndtv.com. And here, if I pick any article like this, and I want to write any comment on this article, so I will click on this comment and let's write some comment, say test comment, and then click on post comment. You see that it's giving me some options. I can comment it in anonymous way, but apart from that, it's giving me 3 more options. I can comment using my Facebook profile or Twitter profile or Google profile. If I click on Facebook, it is asking me to enter the username and password. This is Facebook page. It's not gadgets.ndtv.com page. And in the Facebook page, I'm entering my credential. So I click on login, and since my credential was correct, so it authenticated me. So it's kind of federal authentication because this service is provided by Facebook and Facebook is authenticating me. Gadgets.ndtv.com is not authenticating me, and there are many other websites which are using this Facebook service. So in a way, there is central authentication or federated authentication. So now it has completed my authentication, and now it is giving me a warning saying that NDTV Social will receive your public profile. It means that Facebook will give an authorization token to NDTV, which will allow it to use my public profile. So it is delegating the authorization. It's a partial authorization which it is giving to ndtv.com. So if I click on continue, then gadgets.ndtv.com will get my public profile, and with the help of that public profile, it will show my name in the comments. Now let us go back to the definition which we mentioned at the beginning of this chapter, because now you can better understand this definition. As you have seen, authentication is done by a third-party service provider. In our example, I showed Facebook, Twitter, and Google who are providing this type of service. So the authentication is provided centrally to all the calling applications who want to use this service, and that's why it is called federated authentication. Similarly, authorization is delegated to these calling applications which can use the resources partially on your behalf, and that's why it is called delegated authorization. To summarize what we saw in the example and to understand more how OAuth works, let us discuss its flow. In the first step, your application will request a token to the service provider. Service provider will prompt user to log in, and if the authentication is successful, then it will give an authorization code to your application. So you see that your application got the authorization code only after you successfully logged in. Then your application will exchange this code for the authorization token, and this token can be used for all subsequent calls to get the resource. Now you can ask, why not at this step itself server gives authorization tokens to your application? Why an extra step of exchanging code with token? This is for extra security. The authorization code which is sent by authorization server to your application is visible in the browser URL. So this can be hacked easily. But when your application exchanges this code along with its secret ID, the authorization token is sent to the web server of your client application, which is not visible. So this twofold exchange of code and token provides extra layer of security. So this is the generic flow for OAuth. At this point, we must understand that each service provider, be it be Facebook or Twitter or Google, they add their own spin in this process. So if you want to implement OAuth with Google and Facebook and Twitter, you will see that your implementation is not same for all these service providers. Now let us talk about the advantages of using OAuth. If you think about the advantages of using OAuth, they are very obvious. Number one, there is a trust factor. Since these service providers like Facebook, Twitter or Google are big names, so you know that your credentials are in safe hand. Secondly, you don't need to create new account for each of your application. Almost all of us must be having Facebook or Twitter or at least Google account. So if an application is allowing you to use the credentials of these apps, then you don't need to create user ID password exclusively for your application. And then there is a security factor. OAuth is also used in payment applications. If you want to buy something from a web portal which is new for you and you are not sure if you can give your financial information to this portal, it helps if it is using OAuth and redirecting you to known banking applications for payment. So in this chapter, we learned what is OAuth, how does it work, and what are its advantages.